Hello. Uh, Today, I just wanted to share a little story, testimony of mainly how God brought me from North Carolina to California. And, I share this because a lot of people at that time when I came to California, they were all moving out because the prices and everything was getting too high. So people are moving to Texas, moving to the East Coast, places that were more like suburban and cheaper. And yet, God kind of moved me to California instead. And so at the time, I was a senior in in college, and this was actually in 2021. And so this was when like COVID was like in like full force, and so we were all locked down. We're at home. I was doing like online classes, and it just happened that the pastor that I worked with at my church, she resigned and she moved to California and started doing ministry there. And so we already said our goodbyes and everything. And I still stayed at that church to kind of serve a little bit. But then one summer in 2021, she asked, "Hey, would you like to come to California and do some ministry together and do like a summer thing?" And I was like, you know what? Let me pray about it. And, it wasn't one of those pray about it where it's like, no, I'm going to pray about it and then I'll see. But it was something that I really did consider because at that time I actually wanted to go to a mission trip in Mexico that was happening. So I thought, oh, I'll go to the Mexico mission trip, and then after I finish the mission trip, I'll stay in California because they're really close, and then I'll do some ministry over the summer and go back and finish up my senior year at my college. So that was the plan, and obviously I brought it before the Lord, and I feel like I didn't sense Him say no, so I was like, okay, I'll move forward and see where this goes. I just ate ramen, and so it was really spicy, and my nose is like still leaking a little bit. So excuse me if I am like sniffling. So it was about time for me to go um, and register for my mission trip. And oh, one of the ways that I actually wanted to know, like if the Lord was wanting me to go to Mexico and go to California, was whether or not He would help me find support financially to go on this mission trip. And the mission trip wasn't super expensive. It was $450. It wasn't like a super expensive mission trip, but it was just something that I felt like, God, if you want me to go, would you help me like make a way to raise money and to go? And so that was kind of like my prayer that I left out and open for God to help me with. And so at that time, I was also decided to step down from leadership at the church that I was serving at. And so it all happened. I told them like this is gonna be my last Sunday and stuff like that. And so when I left the church, and in mind I was thinking about the mission trip that I was gonna go on soon. Maybe it was like a month or two away, something like that. And so on my last Sunday at my church, all of the elders and the moms of the students and the students themselves, they actually got a gift basket like ready for me to like give to me as like a thank you for serving there. I think I was there for like 3 years or something like that. I started in my freshman year of college and then basically stayed until my senior year. And so I was like really grateful for that. When I first got the basket, there was like they knew I like drank a lot of energy drinks, so they put a bunch of energy drinks in there. They put snacks in there, and so it was like a food gift basket, or so I thought. And so I just took it. I said thank you, said my goodbyes, and then went home. And then when I went home and I looked into the basket, I realized, oh, there's more stuff than just food and energy drinks, but there was like two envelopes in there, and one was a check, and then one was cash. And I remember I like opened the envelopes and I was like, oh wow, they like gave me some like financial like offering, some cash. And I counted it up and lo and behold, it's exactly $450. And I'm just like, whoa. And then I was thinking, wait, my mission trip is $450. I had just prayed that prayer. And so for me in my heart, I was like, okay, this is confirmation for me. Lord, you want me to go. So I'm all excited. I'm like filled with like faith. I'm like, let's go. Let's go. And so I go on the mission trip like form. I sign up for it. I send in the money, and then I'm like chilling for like a week or two, and then I think it was about 2 weeks before my mission trip. Um, I was like, okay, it's time to start like packing and getting things ready, because at that time, my sister and I were gonna go drive to California together, and then she was gonna fly back since I was gonna keep my car there, and we planned this whole journey. So I was like, I should probably start packing my clothes and the things that I need to bring with us. Um, and when I went to go, and the first thing I went to go grab, because I knew I needed it if I was going to Mexico, was my passport. But when I went to grab my passport, I opened it, I looked at it, and I realized my passport was expired. And I was like, oh shoot. Because it was like in the middle of COVID, and like reaching like all the passport agencies, it was hard because I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this ASAP. So I started calling all the passport agencies. I called in Arizona, I called in California, I called where I was living at that time too. But like when I called them and I asked them like, hey, I need to rush my passport because my mission trip was like 2 weeks out. But they all told me like, I'm so sorry, like the fastest that we can get your passport done is in 4 weeks because of COVID. A lot of people are not working. A lot of like more mandates are out there. And so I was like so discouraged. And I remember sitting at my desk and I was like, God, why would you give me the finances to go on this mission trip, but not the means through my passport? Like I can't even get into Mexico. And I was really discouraged. And like honestly, I kind of gave up a little bit. I was just like, well, I guess I can get my $450 back and just buy something else. At that time, I was like really looking to get an electric skateboard because I wanted to skateboard around my campus, and that was just in the back of my mind. But I decided I'm gonna do some research, see if there's any other ways I can get my passport expedited. And so I'm like on Google, I'm searching, and like I've been searching for hours at that point. And finally, I got to like a Reddit post about someone who got their passport expedited, and the user basically said, "Message your senator." And I'm just like, what are you talking about? At that point, I didn't even know who the senator of my state was at that time because I'm not huge into politics. Uh, and I know I should probably know more, but I didn't know at that time. So I Google senator of NC State, and then I I see his website, and on his website I scrolled all the way down, and there was just like a little message box like, oh, message us, and I'm like, I know in my heart, I was like, this is never gonna work. There's no way the senator of North Carolina would care about someone like me, let alone me needing this because of a mission trip. But I was like, Lord, this is gonna be the last thing I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna leave it up into your hands. So I write up my message. I'm like, hey, Senator so and so, I am looking to go to a mission trip in Mexico, but my passport expired. I'm wondering, can you help me out? And I just like prayed, God, I'm gonna send this. You do what you gotta do. And I sent it, and then I had no faith because the moment I sent it, I opened a new browser tab and I started looking up electric skateboards because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get a nice electric skateboard because I know they're not gonna respond to me. And I remember the next day I was hanging out with a friend, and then I get a phone call, and usually I don't pick up phone calls because uh, if I don't know the person, I just think it's spam. But there was something telling me when there was like the phone number on my screen that I should probably pick it up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up. And I picked it up, and the first thing I hear, I'm like, hello? And then this lady on the other side, she's like, hi, my name is blah, 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 from Senator blah, blah, blah's office. And I'm like, no way. And she's like, can I speak to Mr. Lin? And I'm like, yeah, this is him speaking. And she was like, so we got your message. You need to get your passport expedited. And I'm like, yeah, can you help me? And she's like, yeah, we can help you with that. And I'm just like, really? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you a few things. I'm gonna have you do a few things for me, and then I'm gonna have you, and then we'll get things sorted out. And part of me was like, dude, this is too good to be true. Am I getting scammed? Like, is this a scam? This is some elaborate scam. But lo and behold, I get an email from her, from the senator's office. It's a it's a typed out note, hand signed by the senator of North Carolina, for me to go take to the passport agency in North Carolina. And I was just so, she was like, okay, I want you to print this out. I want you to go take it to the agency. And so I printed it out. I took it to the agency. And when I got to the agency, they gave me this like scroll looking thing with like the US Congress like red wax seal stamp. And then they told me, okay, I need you to take this to another place. And then they warned me, like, do not open the seal. It was like some super confidential stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna do what I'm told. Brought that to another place. They processed, and then that place had me do a bunch of other stuff. But after I did everything, uh, the after that I did everything, they got my passport renewed and shipped out, delivered actually to my address in California in 5 days. 5 days. When all the passport agencies were telling me it's going to take 4 weeks minimum, they only needed 5 days. And I was so blown away because I was just like, God, you would even move the government um, for me to get to somewhere that you want me to go. And that became like my grounding testimony for when I went to Mexico, because a lot of people were also in my shoes where their passport was expired and they tried to get it renewed, but they couldn't. It just took too long, so they couldn't even go on the mission trip. And I was telling them like, oh, this is what I did, and they were all like, no way. And so for me, that became something so special to me, of knowing like, oh God, you brought me here for a reason. Brought me to Mexico and ultimately to California for a reason. And it's still one of the testimonies that I hold on to so dearly in my heart. Um, and it taught me that it's in the moments where you feel discouraged, you feel like it's not going to work out. And God comes in those last hours, and he just changes things. And things like this happen. And I share this story with people, and I'll probably actually share it with the youth students um, when I preach tonight, as an encouragement, like, let God show up for you. If you don't let God show up for you, you'll never have the chance to grow your faith in Him. You're never going to have a chance to actually have these experiences of God. Because now that I've had that experience, and I've had a lot more than just this one, there's so many ways that God has shown up. But whenever I encounter a certain difficulties that is similar, I think back to the way that God has been faithful in the past. And I think, well, this might suck in the moment, this might be hard in the moment, but God did it before, and He can do it again. But even if He doesn't, He is still good. Even if He doesn't, He is still good. Those are the words of Daniel's friends in the book of Daniel, when they were before the king um, Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar was going to throw Daniel's friends all into the fire, um, and then they decided, like, I'm not gonna renounce God. I'm not going to bow down to the idols. Um, we know our God will save us, but even if He doesn't, we won't. And I think that's something that, for me, in my life as a Christian, as I walk and I'm still growing with God, seeing these testimonies is what gives me the boldness and the courage um, to stand up for the truth. So that's just a quick story of how God brought me from North Carolina to California. Uh, and a short little uh, thing after is, after I finished my mission trip, and then I started serving in the church with my pastor at that time. Um, we eventually started a church. We started a church in 2021. And then I was like, I don't think I should just start a church and then go back to North Carolina and just kind of leave it. So, I prayed about it, and one of the biggest things I wanted was the blessing from my parents to move out to California and to do ministry. And the funny thing is, like, you know, as our ministry, um, it's not a ministry where we got paid. There was no guarantee pay. There's no guarantee security. And we're living in California, like the most expensive state besides New York. And I was just like, I don't know if my parents would, approve of that. But, I just was like, Lord, if it's your will, then, I want that blessing. And I remember hopping on a FaceTime call with my parents when I was in California, and I just told them, like, Mom, Dad, like, look, what do you think about me moving to California and doing ministry? And they were just like, yeah, that sounds good. You should do it. They even got my tickets for me, and I feel like that was just a God's confirmation of, like, I'm sending you to this place. Um, you may not know anyone yet. You may not know what's in store for you, but is it enough that you know that I'm with you? And I think that's a question that I will leave you off with today. Is it enough that you know that God is with you? Maybe the circumstances or the situation is not good in your life right now, but is knowing that God is with you enough? Is that enough? I think about Joseph again. Joseph it's not because he has my name, but his story is, um, it's just so relatable in terms of the way that he's lived his life. And what part was relatable is, I think he has two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and I forget which one of the sons' names meant this, but one of his sons, the name meant, like, the Lord blessed me, like, in the land of, like, my enemies, something along those lines. I'm totally butchering it. I should have looked this up before, but hey, we're trying to do unpolished, so that's what you're gonna get. But essentially, because Joseph grew up in a land that was not his own, God raised him up in a land that was not his own, but God blessed him in that land, and God was with him. And I think that's an important thing for us to think about. And um, it's so funny as I talk about that, I think about this question: is what is a good life? How do you define a good life as a Christian? Because sometimes we think a good life is, raising a family, having children, having security, having comfort. But biblically, the only thing that is good is God. And therefore, a person who lives a good life is a person who has God in their life. Joseph's life on the outside, it does not look good, because he got sold into slavery. He got beaten up by his brother, sold into slavery. He got falsely accused. He got jailed. And so his life was tough. But his life, biblically, was good. It's considered good because he had Jesus with him. Life may not treat you well. You may not have been born with the best circumstances. You may not have been born with the best cards in your hands. But God is the one who ultimately will bring restoration to you, will bring justice, and he will make all things perfect. So my brothers, my sisters, whoever is listening to this, just encourage you to trust him. He will bring all things into completion. That's what it says, and in Philippians, he will complete. Um, yeah, I'm totally butchering it. It's just like blanking. Um, but read Philippians 1. It's there. I think it's like verse 6 or something. And then also um, Romans as well. It says, like, for all who love him and who are all called according to his promise. He works all things together for their good. Um, and those are things that we can hold on to. So, yeah, I hope this story blessed you. I hope it encourages you to lean in, um, and open up. Let go of control, and let God come through for you. And more as you grow in your testimonies of Him and your experiences of Him, um, you'll see greater things of God in your life. So, God bless you. Take care. Peace.